We made it on time somehow, some way. We Ubered here. They were talking about vegan pizza. We learned how the people on Marshall Street recruit you for vegan pizza. That's what we learned about. So that was an interesting way. I mean, one of the best lessons I've heard, honestly.
Best?
I mean, why go to Syracuse when you can just Uber and hear about vegan pizza?
It was certainly a lesson. We'll leave it at that.
It really was, and I was shocked. It just was something. I mean,
I will say something that I found: the Ubers here, the Uber drivers, they always talk.
Oh, they love to talk.
They always talk. I mean, it's crazy. Never a dull time.
It's their 30 seconds of fame. They want to hear. They need to tell their story.
Everyone's got a story to tell, I guess.
Well, I'm also a talker. He was telling us about his Syracuse football game. Last week it was so busy.
He made bank.
Yeah,
he made bank. But
big bread for him.
I'll tell you this: they had a tough loss this week.
They did
this past week. Very very tough loss. 37-31. They rallied to score 21 unanswered points. McCord 8th game with 300 plus yards, single season school record. But they still lost. And honestly, you can call it a heartbreak in some case. It was a tough loss.
It was, and this is where I'll keep going to with the over 350-yard days, over 300 yards. It's all the same for Kyle McCord. I feel like, yes, it's obviously good. Those are the yards you're getting. You only had, below 50 yards total rushing? Only 39, so below 40 yards total rushing, which, again, I talked about 2 weeks ago. If you want to win, you have to run the ball. They did it against Virginia Tech. They didn't do it against BC on Saturday. So, yeah, McCord has to make up for it with his arm. He's throwing 48 passing attempts on Saturday. It's just it makes I don't know. It's just you're throwing the ball too much to be successful. You have to assert some sort of run game.
Well, speaking of run game, they can't stop the run.
Yeah, that was bad.
They've allowed 200 plus rushing yards in back-to-back games. First time in almost 2 years they've done that. So that was not good at all. But Dan, I guess what's your main takeaway from the game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like if you're going to allow 313 rushing yards, no matter the circumstance, you do not deserve to win the game. And Syracuse has had this problem all season. We've kind of seen it on and off. It was a big talking point in the first game of the season against Ohio. They just can't stop the run. And if you can't stop the run, you're not going to win football games, especially when you're talking all this talk about being a top dog in the ACC like you want to be.
It's really interesting. I feel like this team's been really inconsistent at stopping the run because last week I felt like they did pretty decent against Virginia Tech at stopping the run. This week, not so much. Over 300 yards.
Give or take, they were without their Heisman caliber running back.
Yeah, but still, I know. I mean, obviously, BC pounded the run game. They only passed the ball 13 times.
Something like that.
They only passed the ball 13 times for 65 yards. So they were going to run the ball a lot. 51 attempts on the ground for them, but. Man, it's just the same thing we talked about. Whenever Syracuse plays more physical, they win. You have to win up front.
I think the biggest thing, and I've been talking about this a lot, is Syracuse's offensive balance is all over the place. There's really no balance. This was another game where McCord threw the ball 48 times and they ran the ball 18 times. You need to have a better balance on offense. You just have to. Yeah,
I mean, it goes down. I mean, last week, Quinn Allen had over 150 yards, and it led to success on the offensive end. And not saying the offense was the issue this time. It really falls on the defense. I mean, BC came in as a bottom 5 offense in the ACC, and in that 3-game losing streak that they had, whenever they started 4-1, they went on a 3-game losing streak before this win against Syracuse. They were averaging just over 20 points a game. That's bad. Gave up 37. You give up 37. I mean, it's not great. And you give up over 300 rushing yards. Again, it's just about physicality, and Syracuse lacked that.
Well, from PFF, I was looking this morning. Their defense ranks 81st of 134 FBS teams, which is 12 out of 17 in the ACC. Tackling, they rank 17 of 17 and 124th of 134 in FBS. So while their passing is 16 of 134, and offense is 32 of 134. So that's good offense, bad defense. I mean, in football, it's on both sides. You got to be balanced.
No, absolutely. And defense wins championships at the end of the day. If you really want to compete in the ACC, like Fran Brown has been preaching, they keep saying, we're bowl eligible, but the job's not done yet. You got to do more.
Well, and this loss is actually big for a number of reasons, too, because Georgia Tech beat Miami on Saturday as well, which if Syracuse were to win, it would have had ACC playoff hopes and implications because Now, if you win out, which it would have been a tall task to beat, how great Miami has been this year, it would have been a tall task to beat them. I mean, you would have had a chance. You're giving yourself a chance, but now you lose to BC. It's basically you can kiss any chance at the college football playoff this year goodbye. Not that they had much of a chance to begin with, but if you go on and beat Miami, you beat Clemson or SMU in an ACC championship game, then you have a chance. But now with this loss to BC, you don't.
One thing I think we can take away from this game, a little bit of silver lining, is Aronde Gadsden finally looking like himself.
That catch was insane.
8 receptions for 102 yards and a touchdown. His first touchdown since week 2 against Georgia Tech, which is why I thought of it. It's really good to see him finally finding some form again.
Yeah, I mean, that catch was incredible. Definitely an NFL catch for someone who should, I think, be playing on Sundays.
I think so, yeah.
Speaking of 100 yards, this was the last time. So Boston College had 2 players rushed for over 100-plus yards. The last time 2 players rushed for 100-plus yards versus Cuse was in 2020, Notre Dame.
Yep, Kyron Williams was one of them. Ooh, I'm not sure. I know it was Kyron Williams, though.
Chris Tyree.
Tyree. I heard that. That's annoying. But, yeah, that's one of those things, like you cannot allow that to happen, especially when it's something like that, when it's 2 different running backs. Like, if one guy has a day on you, sure. 2, there's a fundamental problem here.
Well, also 10 penalties for 91 yards doesn't help them at all.
I mean, yeah, if we're going to talk about penalties, I feel like we got to talk about the biggest penalty of the game, which was on Syracuse's onside kick attempt with a minute left to try to even this game up, down by 6. They recover it, and illegal contact. What are we thinking?
I think it's rough. I think it's best to push it aside, because if you blame a loss on that, then you're not going to address the issue.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And the issues are tackling.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you can't expect an onside kick to. I mean, the fact that it had to come to an onside kick in general shouldn't be meaning that you're looking for excuses. That's what I hate. Whenever bad calls are going to happen throughout the game. And I don't even think it was a bad call too. I think they made the right call in a very tough, place to make that call. The referees did. So I think it's more just looking for an excuse, because this team has to dig deep. And it's crazy. It feels like the 3 of us, for some reason, every time we come on this show, we always have to talk so negatively. I mean, this team is doing better. I think this team has definitely shown improvements. It's weird. Maybe BC the past 2 years has been, a little bit of a kryptonite for Syracuse, but it's weird that we get to come. We always come on here after something negative for Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean, Fran Brown after the game, he was clearly not happy with the call, but he took the high road. He said, quote, "He called it. I mean, what you want me to say? It ain't going to change no matter what I say now. They made a call. We have to go with the call, so we're going to get ready for the next one." So, you can sit here and you can say, "Oh, Syracuse got screwed. It's BS, whatever." But at the end of the day, you got to keep moving.
Yeah, you can't keep on looking for an excuse. Speaking of Coach Fran Brown, he said in his post-game press conference that he got outcoached by Bill O'Brien. I'm curious what y'all's thoughts were on that. Do you think maybe him taking accountability there is a good thing? He seems to be taking accountability a lot in these losses, just kind of going forward, grading Fran Brown, in his first year.
I think the accountability is good, but also it's a former NFL coach.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you'd expect.
Former NFL coach, former offensive coordinator at Bama.
I mean,
over 30 years of coaching.
Yeah.
It's Bill O'Brien. He's not your.
But why isn't he out coaching everyone in the ACC then?
That's a fair point. I mean, I think the biggest play of this game, I mean, it's kind of going unnoticed, but the biggest play in this game, in my opinion, was it was 4th down and short. Boston College had just run the ball 3 straight times. They were on there. I think they were in Syracuse territory, going for it, try to put the game away. Syracuse sold out on the run because all they were doing was running all game. And what did they do? They faked the run, and they flipped it right over the line to a wide-open tight end for a touchdown. That was a really good play called by Bill O'Brien, and it was the kind of the point in my mind that I was like, okay, I think he's definitely out coaching him here.
Yeah, I agree. And I hate to go back to the negative, what Josh was saying, but I mean, the missed tackles this season on run play tackling. Barron has 10, McDonald has 9, Chestnut has 9, Clark has 7, Grant has 6. Those are top numbers in the ACC in a bad way.
I mean, this team has desperately missed Marlo Wax. I mean, he's finally coming back, and then he got injured again in that game against Boston College. And when he's not on the field and they don't have their leader out there, I feel like it's a little harder for the team to really embrace that mob mentality that he really brings to that defense.
1,000%. And I guess we can go on, but this was just it was a tough loss, and I think the season's not over, obviously.
Well,
the season isn't over.
Well, any hopes of an ACC championship or anything aside from a bowl game are over.
But I have the record in the last 9 games, the first 9 games after every season. I have it right here. I mean, there ain't much different from this year to 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever you want to put. But I guess you get to the vibes are better.
Sure. And again, it's what we talked about. It's a long process. This is not just a 1-year process in transitioning this program. It's going to take time. Again, 8-3 was kind of my record prediction, and I think.
Well, there's 12 games. So
okay, sorry, 9-3. My fault. Thank you, Dan.
No problem.
3 losses in general was going to be my, threshold. I think this year for Syracuse. That's what I was looking for. And right now they're at 3 losses, and it's going to be tough to beat Miami. But I think around whether it's 9-3, 8-4, whatever. I still think that you're improving, and it's just going to be about building going forward. Would you have liked to win this game and get a chance at the ACC championship game? Of course, but you're in a bowl game. Compete for a better bowl game. Compete for a higher bowl game, and I think you're building in the right direction into next year as well.
I agree. I feel like they're a lot like the Mets. This year,
interesting
Why we got to bring the Mets into this?
Sorry. It just came to my mind. And usually I relate everything back to the Yankees, but now we're talking Mets here.
Sure.
Quickly,
Are you a
very
Yankees fan?
quickly. So, no, I'm not.
Okay.
So, this is not you clap.
Yeah,
we got him. I will say this while you try to collect your thoughts.
My fault.
Because you sit here and say that if they go less than 9-3, would you say it's not a success?
I think in the perspective of this season now, seeing that you have 3 losses now, you definitely have to go on and win out before Miami.
Okay, because what I was going to say is I feel like 8-4 is still a really successful season for this team because you got to think about it. They haven't had an 8-win season since 2018. The one season under Dino, they went 10-3. Before that, you have to go all the way back to 2001 for a regular season to finish with 8 wins.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you need to set the standard here, and I think Fran Brown is doing a good job. He's building a culture. It's going to take some time. Rome was not built in a day.
Exactly.
So if we're going to keep building this culture, I think we're doing all right. I think 8 wins is a fine benchmark.
And to tie it back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, I think you're right. 8 wins is a great benchmark, and I think that we've seen improvements from head coach Fran Brown. I like that he's taking accountability. I like that he acknowledged post game. He said, "Hey, that's on me. I got out coached."
I would hope he lives up to one of the 4 things in his acronym.
Yeah, I mean, accountability is what he talks about, and I think that's it goes to the coaches as well. So I think Fran Brown is taking the right steps. I think that just this team needs to execute better, and I think it needs to be more physical, and it saw that on the run defense this time around, and on the run offense objectively.
So what I was going to say, before Josh made me think about Brian Cashman's comments.
Oh God,
saying that it's good for players to be friends with Aaron Boone. Is that this year the expectations with the Mets were low. Syracuse, same thing. Like first year with new coach, it was.
I feel like the expectations were high though.
Where?
Here, I think for Syracuse,
they were a little high, but unrealistic.
Yeah,
sure.
Unrealistic.
But I think anything that ends up positive is just a plus.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same. From a big picture, I see it as the same. It's very similar.
Yeah, I can see that. And then, but kind of similar to how the Mets ended up, expectations kind of have to change. You know what I mean? Like the Mets had the crazy run in June and July, and then they were looking on the outside, looking in September. The expectations change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. So we're going to take a quick break. And on the other side, I was driving around Saturday night, and I saw something related to Cuse football, a sign, but it wasn't for Cuse football. We'll tell you about it after the break. Jacob K., Josh Rajanov, Dan Papillo, Newhouse Afternoon on QSportsTalk.com, ESPN Syracuse. You're not going to believe what I saw.
Oh, worried for what you saw.
What'd you see?
What'd you see, Jacob?
Well, now I can't tell you.
Yeah,
I gotta wait, I guess.
Sorry for interrupting you.
No, I was messing around. You're fine. I could not care less. You're fine.
Are we sticking to Syracuse football next segment, right?
Well, I want to hear what he's got to say, and then we can kind of transition.
Can't handle the 4 minutes of suspense here, Jacob.
Yeah.
Killing me.
It's a good tease. It was a really good tease, I will say.
A good tease.
Brian, is that a whale or a dolphin to you? This was the debate from last year.
It's a dolphin.
I think it's a whale.
What were we talking about?
I pick it up.
It's a whale.
That's a dolphin.
That's a dolphin.
That's a dolphin.
So you want to hear a funny story, you two?
Sure.
All right.
So last year, I called out the white whale Brian Cashman. He was the White Whale interview.
Sure.
I think it's a white
I can't wait
whale.
for the Yankees segment today. I'm going to debate you. Because you think Aaron Boone should go, obviously, right?
No, I think what he said about earlier today that he's proud of the team.
We'll talk about it. Does anyone have like a napkin or a tissue or something?
Right, like right on.
Run down to she get the paper towels in the kitchen area down
Okay.
the hallway.
Hustle.
How much time do we have left on this break?
2.5.
You're good.
Brian, do you want this after I'm done with it? I did this research for Park and myself for Q's Colgate. I can give it to you. Like I won't forget. It's not the 3-pointing. It just I'd forget. That's why I figured I was asking right now.
I won't turn it down.
Yeah, no, it's just the uniqueness of how Colgate has become Syracuse killers.
I know, it's actually ridiculous.
No, I have these numbers. Like it's ridiculous. It's not just like ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
What did they shoot in the last game? I know like Syracuse came back from like 28 down. They were shooting the lights out.
In Colgate against Syracuse.
Bye, Paulie. Will Paulie have clean clothes tomorrow?
I'll shower.
I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, even if you didn't earn it, Paulie, please promise to shower.
Maybe next year instead of
I've earned you showering.
next year instead of not shaving at the beginning of the year, I won't shower.
You won't shower till they lose.
Oh boy,
I don't like this at all.
yeah, that's not a
I
good
don't like,
idea.
I don't like where this is going even a little
I
bit.
won't shower till they win with that road schedule they got.
I don't like that either. Tennessee.
I want to go to that game.
It's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. We're going to get killed.
AR, fly me out.
Colgate shot 419.
4 of 19?
No, 0.419.
42%.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy.
And then
Are
the
we
game
ta-
before they shot 487.
Are we talking about Colgate this
Yeah, I have some numbers.
segment?
If you, we could do it this
Let
now or
him
after
do
two.
the football thing and then we'll talk.
I would prefer we do it third segment.
Let's
whatever
we'll figure it out.
I want more time to go look up stuff.
As I said, we're a full week removed from the Lemoyne game. We're not going to talk about that.
Fun fact for you: it was the second to smallest margin of victory out of a home game when the spread is 21.5 or more. In like as far as the database goes back.
That's an ESPN kind of stat right there.
There's an you have a lot. You have a lot of
Cherry
ESPN
picking.
stats.
This is not from ESPN though.
I know, but
it's just the term,
yeah.
like
Really?
ESPN stat, like cherry picking a stat.
It's not
So
cherry.
so you think I
no,
cherry
it's
pick?
no. It's not. It's not
No.
cherry picking. It's just like very oddly specific stats that like kind of make sense but don't make sense.
No, but it has to. You have to learn to find things that fit your that make
Fit your
sense.
narrative, of course.
I mean, Aaron Boone can go tell you the Yankees are really freaking good this year. I could tell you. I mean, I could tell you differently.
It's right in front of us.
It's right in front of us. Roger said it to you yesterday too. It's right in front of us. I mean, every Aaron loves that quote. Every Aaron.
Bad day to be an
Day
Aaron.
to be an Aaron.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
We're live, Newhouse Afternoon. Jacob K, Josh Rajnov, Dan Pillow, ESPN Radio, QSportsTalk.com. So I know you guys were patiently awaiting. You couldn't even sit down. You couldn't even sit still
And you're
during the
still
break.
hiding from us. Just tell us
I'm
already.
shaking in my boots
So
here.
Saturday
Jacob.
night, I was driving around, and I saw a sign related to Q's football.
I hope your eyes were on the road.
It was actually a light, and I
Oh,
actually was
okay.
not. I was actually not driving.
So you were lying.
Well, I was in the
He was on the
passenger seat.
he was on the road.
I was on the road,
I know, I'm messing with you.
He was walking.
and I saw a sign, and it said "Why not Cal?"
Why not Cal?
From them.
Where was this sign?
5 minutes away from campus.
Interesting.
I was flabbergasted.
Cal has been
Number
very active
one-
on social media this
Number
year.
one, I thought, wait. I almost thought it was a home game, which I knew it wasn't, but I was like, why would they be advertising here if they're not? I want to take a picture, the change, and of course, the light turned green, so that's what has to happen.
Yes, always.
But I just thought to share that. It was very bizarre. It was really like you're showing an ad for the other team when this team is on the road. They're across the country. I was just confused. There's not much to say about it. It was just a bizarre thing I saw, and I knew Tuesday, that's being shared.
Well, you want to know why I think it could be Cal this weekend? They have the number 2 rushing defense in the ACC, and obviously we know Syracuse has struggled running the ball. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see if Syracuse can generate anything on the ground on Saturday.
I'm going to be honest. It sounds like Cal is invading our community here.
Just a bit. I mean,
Fran Brown would not like that.
I wonder if he addressed it this morning.
He probably has no idea. I'll make sure he knows though.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to
I'll make sure he knows.
I mean, you talk about their rushing defense. They got a pretty good rushing offense too. Jaden Ott is one of the best running backs in the country, and it's going to be particularly interesting. Although I just think that Syracuse is at the point where it's McCord or nothing, and they've kind of shown that.
But it's not.
That's just
Virginia Tech wasn't.
It kind of. I don't know what the lack of consistency is. I don't understand what Jeff Nixon is thinking then. What is the point of one game doing nothing but running and one day doing nothing but passing?
I think also when you go down 14-0 to start a game, it kind of deteriorates you from running the ball a little bit.
Yeah, but when there's also 25-mile-per-hour winds in a game like Boston College, you kind of got to keep the ball on the ground a little bit.
And it's not like passing was the issue. Again, offense wasn't the issue on Saturday against BC. It was definitely part of the problem, but you have to be able to run the ball. I mean, we're both kind of arguing the same thing here.
Yeah, I think we're just kind of...
Cal also has the number 1 defense in the ACC.
Yeah.
In terms of scoring. They allow under 20 points a game.
I am particularly interested to see what kind of environment Berkeley brings to Syracuse.
I mean, they provided a great environment whenever College Game Day went there for the Miami game. Almost upset Miami in that game, too.
Fran Brown talked a lot about the team going to California this year and talking about how it's a big advantage because there's a lot of Syracuse alumni out there, and it's a good opportunity for recruiting. So I'm kind of particularly interested how much orange there'll be. There was expected to be a ridiculous amount of orange in Boston and ended up being a sellout for Boston College. So that was particularly interesting, too.
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess I am a numbers guy in a sense, and I definitely am a fan of predictive metrics to find to predict things, really. And it pains me to say it, but there's nothing better than the gambling odds to think of how something's going to play out. Because when money's involved, then that's everything.
Was that a big sign on the wall at the casino?
It was not at the casino. They're Cal -7 right now, 6.5, I think, 7 or 7.5 this morning. It was when I looked. I look almost every day, I would say, just to get a sense of what the vibes are.
I think that's fair. I think that's a pretty fair line. I don't know about you.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Home advantage. Syracuse coming off a bad loss.
The travel too.
Travel is definitely a big thing.
Also, travel with it being a midday game too. I mean, it's noon kickoff.
It's 12. It's 12 o'clock our time. 12. It's their 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
really.
3 o'clock our time.
So it's probably going to be a weird day for them. And I think they're going out there on Thursday. So they're going to get a day. I think they're going out Thursday.
I mean, at the end of it, I think it's going to be a great day to be a Syracuse sports fan. You got the basketball team playing at 1 o'clock, and then you can go right home, turn on your TV, and boom, Syracuse football against Cal at 3 o'clock. I mean, I think it just sounds like a great day.
It does.
Great day to do a whole lot of nothing and watch Syracuse sports. But I think we need to talk about this basketball team because this game against Colgate, not one that Syracuse fans are particularly excited about.
No, this is a team that has had Syracuse's number 2 of the last 3 years. And, of course, last year, Syracuse was down to Colgate by 28 points.
Yep.
Chris Bell had, about probably, 10 threes or something. I'm exaggerating there. He did have his career high in points, though. He had 25 points in last year against Colgate, led the charge in that second half comeback. But, I mean, this is a team that should not be, taken lightly. They run the Liberty Conference. They're consistently a tournament team. And based on how Syracuse played Lemoyne last week, it's a little nervy going into this game.
Colgate, I like to say, I share this season a lot with the Yankees, that they're a bunch of
always.
They're a bunch of Yankee killers.
Correct. There's a lot of Met killers too. I could go on forever about that.
And there's Ranger killers too. If we all just want to join the conversation.
Colgate is a Syracuse killer.
An accurate testament.
And we'll tell you exactly why after the break.
Ooh.
Jacob K., Josh Rajanov, Dan Papillo on ESPN Radio Syracuse and QSportsTalk.com.
Nice.
There genuinely is no like Syracuse, like besides like like these numbers are.
Can you really call him a Syracuse killer when the all-time record is 130-45?
Yes,
Look
I
at the
can.
last 10.
Well, they won 8-2.
Oh, okay. So it's just 2 of the last 3 recently.
Yeah, last 3 years.
I mean, that's what I said. So
Check the chat.
putting up last year's box score.
Can't believe that tweet that I had just was.
Any comments?
Yeah, it's my dad saying what's up.
Huh?
Just my dad said what's
I
up.
forgot to tell my parents about this again. They should know. I tell them it's every other week.
What was I gonna say?
Huh?
I think Winter's watching.
I
Hello,
hope.
Professor Winter,
Shout out Professor Winter if you're watching.
if you're listening.
I doubt it.
I don't know what I was gonna say. Thoughts on Roki Sasaki?
That is
Future
a
Texas
very
Ranger.
interesting
Can I
debate.
tell you what I think first,
Future Texas Ranger.
and then the floor is yours. I think the idea that he could sign with anybody, you would think first Dodgers, because Dodgers or Padres, but really Dodgers because of Ohtani Yamamoto. But the idea that I was reading the article on whatever night it was, and I was like, oh my God, this guy can sign anywhere. Like, this is crazy. Now, what do you what do you guys think about that? Like, I just can't.
I was
wrap my
looking
head
at
around
the pools, right? So every team obviously has its own like different international pools. So the teams with the most money, the max he can get is $7.5 million.
It's the rookie contract like Shohei Ohtani got,
so
basically.
Reds, Tigers, Marlins, Brewers, Twins, A's, Mariners, Rays. Probably not any of those.
I would give the Rays a chance.
I would give the Mariners a chance too, honestly. 'Cause that's still West
Sure.
Coast enough, and that if he could join that pitching
Sure.
rotation, they would be actually disgusting. 6.9 million. D-backs, Orioles, Guardians, Rockies, Royals, Pirates.
None.
6.2 is when you start getting to the heavy hitters: Braves, Red Sox, Cubs, White Sox, Angels, Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Padres, Rangers, Blue Jays, Nationals.
Everyone besides the White Sox and the Angels there, I guess you can, and Brewers probably.
Astros and Cardinals at 5.6, and then 5.1 you have Dodgers, Giants. So
Giants too. Like I don't see him coming here to New York.
it's just
I
a
don't-
matter for
unlikely.
him. It's like, does $2 million really change much for him? You know what I mean?
Well, he wants to come. I believe, and please tell me if I'm wrong. I believe he wants to come here. Correct? Like
Yes, he does.
So he's accepting the I don't know, the money. Like it's, but also the same idea. Like you worry about their talent. Like Yamamoto got this crazy contract. This guy's being paid almost. You could say he's signing a minor league contract.
Yeah. So it doesn't really
So-
matter where he signs because it's going to be a 1-year deal anyway.
No, I think it's like what Ohtani was. I think it's over multiple years.
Is it?
I believe that was the perception I got. Yeah, with that Ohtani got. Yeah.
Oh, so it is going to take him a minute. Okay.
But also, if he's a bust, you're only paying him X million a year. That's nothing crazy. So it's just so fascinating to me.
So yeah, he could really pick his destination because everybody's
Yes.
going to offer him something.
Which is to me, I'm just fascinated by the whole. Like I just am. You don't see a guy from Japan who apparently can throw 103 or top at 103, can be signed for. Like Ohtani was obviously the last person that. It's just crazy. I know. I saw a photo of him and Masahiro Tanaka. You're not gonna reel me in yet. I mean, he's a great pitcher.
David Stern said he went to Japan out of.
They
like,
all did.
He
They all
said
did.
he said he quote was like out of respect.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like going to scout him necessarily.
Boone said he's really gifted and very young. We know it's a unique and special talent. They say that about every player.
Well, of
like
course.
I'm not really. They also can't really talk bad about a free agent. I don't think. So I don't know. I just think it's fascinating.
That'll be particularly interesting. I really would like to know what happens there.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today, broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Newhouse afternoon. ESPN Radio Syracuse 100.1. QSportsTalk.com. Jacob Kay with you. Josh Radjanov, Dan Papilla with you. We're talking Cuse men's basketball right now, and I'm going to tell you, and I teased before the break, as I'm doing like I guess I'm teasing. I'm really being a teaser today. I'm really teasing today.
You're loving those cliffhangers.
I'm kind of being a jerk today a little bit.
Maybe a little
with
bit.
the tease. Like, I mean, like you guys on 2 breaks, just you were jumping up and down. You just couldn't contain the excitement.
Dan and I were too excited to talk about basketball last segment that you had to tease us into this segment. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to read a lot of numbers here, but it's going to make sense.
All right.
You ready for this? Colgate is a Syracuse killer. And what was the record?
The record all time
Yes.
is 128 and 47 in Syracuse.
Okay, 128 and 47.
total Syracuse.
Write that
killer.
down. All time.
Correct.
However, Colgate's a Syracuse killer. Here we go. Since the 2021-2022 season, Colgate's played 107 games. There's only 6 games that they've shot 15 or more three-pointers. Syracuse was again twice, and Army twice. 15 three-pointers against Syracuse. They did it 6 times since 2021-2022. They've done it twice against Syracuse.
I mean, you can combat that because they ran a 2-3 zone for so long.
But listen to this, though. And 3 games since 2021-2022 with 17-plus made. Cuse twice, Columbia once. Since the 2021 season, Colgate has only had 3 games, 2.8% of games, with 35-plus three-point attempts. They did it twice against Syracuse.
I mean, the zone plays into that. I think another thing that plays into that is whenever you're playing, Colgate's only an hour away from Syracuse. Whenever you're playing a team from a similar area, you're going to want to win that a little bit more, especially if you're a team in the Liberty Conference trying to make a name for yourself, trying to get big wins. You're going to be amped up a little bit more for that game. And sometimes those are just big moments that these players live for. That's what they want to do. I mean, this is a rival to them.
No,
Jacob, I get what you're saying, but also Syracuse killer, the last time before 2021 that they beat Syracuse was, guess.
1981.
1961.
Oh, I was close.
No, you were not close.
20 years? That's close.
That is not that close.
That's objectively close.
Objectively
No. Not. Anyway, you cannot call them a Syracuse killer. It's such a small sample size.
No, 2 out of the last 3 does not make you a Syracuse killer. Now, does Syracuse have its hands full tomorrow night? I think so. Because last Monday night was really, really concerning.
Yes.
The fact that you only beat they only beat Lemoyne by 4 points, a team that went on to lose to Cal State by 20. That's bad.
Okay.
That's really concerning. So while I agree that Syracuse should be concerned with Colgate tomorrow night, Syracuse killer is a little bit too far.
But I'm going to tell you something, though.
Oh boy.
So before I get to that, since 2021, Colgate has had 7 games with 30-plus three-point attempts while shooting 40 or plus, 40% or better. It's Cuse, 2 against Cuse. But you combated before.
So they just shoot good against.
But you've
against the
combated
Orange.
before
Yes.
with the whole 3-2 with the whole zone.
Sure.
So I have a little argument back.
Listening.
We're going to do it from the Cuse side. On the Cuse side, since the 2021-2022 season, they've played 98 games. Only 9 games for Syracuse when the opponent has made 15 or more three-pointers. You could almost, I should have said almost this first in a sense. That's before I showed Colgate performing for us. But now this is the uniqueness of us allowing 3-pointers.
Just 9 times. I mean,
Only 9 games which is 9.2%, where an opponent made 15 or more 3-pointers in a game.
I think almost that comes down to a bit playing down to your competition, just a touch.
1,000%.
Because a majority of these games come in the non-conference really early in the season where a team is still trying to find its identity.
I mean, usually it's the first or second game of the year, like it is this year, like it was last year.
And Syracuse has really struggled to find its identity in the last 3 seasons. I mean, they still haven't made a tournament since they've lost to Colgate.
Oh, we'll get to that.
So it's kind of just like this team struggles against Colgate because Colgate is coming in, they're coming in with nothing to play for. It's just almost playing for fun. You know what I mean? Just coming in, trying to get that upset, whereas Syracuse has all the pressure on them.
Yeah, but something that's different about this game. So Colgate only has 3 players returning from last year's roster. I'm curious to see if maybe it's just a continuation of things. Maybe it is just, Colgate gets really amped up for these games. But something to note, Syracuse just didn't shoot well against Lemoyne. But the biggest concern that I had is the defense.
Yeah, I mean,
last year in Syracuse's non-conference schedule, they gave up around 70 points a game, a little bit under that, I believe, which is really good. To give up 82 to a team that just got moved up to D2 a couple years ago is not good. And Syracuse has its hands full tonight against, again, a talented Colgate team that has made the tournament the past few years.
What's the over-under for tomorrow night?
the over-under, I'm going to say...
I have no idea. I'm asking you.
I can look.
No, yes, please. Thank you.
I got you.
I'm curious.
I'm going to guess it's probably high because the last few games have been high.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm going to say the line is at about 175.
I'd go 170.
Let's have a look. We are looking at... This is not helping me. 1 second. Sorry.
Well, while we're waiting on the line,
Okay.
what's the point you want to make?
So I'm looking at the 2021-2022 versus Colgate. We lost in 2022 68-80, and in 2021 85-100. So those are two high-scoring games. I'm just curious what the over/under. I'm just curious.
I know. I'm trying to figure it out.
All good.
You know what's weird is because you're not allowed to bet on New York colleges.
Go to covers.com and you can look there. It's the best website.
What did you say? Covers?
Covers.com. Best website.
Okay.
For those who need gambling odds for Syracuse, if you're curious.
I guess.
Please
right?
gamble responsibly.
Well, you can't bet on Syracuse here,
No,
so
you
I guess.
definitely cannot.
But I'll say this. They're only, for Syracuse, since 2021, 2022, one more stat here for you. Oh, they might not be up yet. There's always a chance.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Keep looking. Yeah, no, it's not up yet.
I'm surprised.
I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
That's an insane tease into nothing.
Cuse has only played 4 games since 2021, 4.1%, where the opponent has 35-plus three-point attempts while shooting 40 or better from three. Colgate owns 2 of those, which is just surprising. To me, I just think Colgate, it's just the three-point shooting against, I guess, for them against us is just like an anomaly, and it's just weird. It's just honestly weird.
One thing I will say, and I mean, Syracuse last year, this was an issue the entire year, so I'm curious to see if this improves. Last year in this game, Syracuse got out-rebounded by Colgate 44-32. That's really bad. That's really bad. Second chance points. Let me pull that up real quick. Colgate had 18 second chance points last year.
And we had 8.
And Syracuse had 6.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez. You know
So,
what? I mean, you want to talk about that being a trend. It's not really looking like that right now. They out-rebounded Lemoyne 46-32.
Lemoyne out-rebounded?
No, Syracuse out-rebounded Lemoyne.
So hopefully,
So hopefully it's
Syracuse,
not a trend is what I was going to say.
It's going to come down to Jair Davis, who played absolutely phenomenal against Lemoyne.
Yeah.
Out of the very few bright spots there were in that 4-point win to the Dolphins, Jair Davis played absolutely phenomenal. It's going to come down to Eddie Lampkin. He got into a little bit of foul trouble early on in that game against Lemoyne. Can he stay out of foul trouble? Can he make it as big of an impact? Can Chris Bell continue to contribute both on offense and defense? And can Donnie Freeman make his 3-pointers? I think this team has a lot of potential. I do think the Lemoyne game might have been a little bit of a fluke in the sense that Syracuse just didn't play good out of the gates. Started a little slow, thought they had a game in hand that was harder than it needed to be. If you can come out tomorrow night and erase all that and start hot, that's the biggest thing. You have to find a way to start hot. Syracuse didn't start hot against Lemoyne, didn't start hot against Colgate last year. They got away with it last year and against Lemoyne. But if you start hot today, I think that puts a team that's definitely at a lower level, puts them to rest early on.
It's a game of runs, basketball. It really is.
1,000%.
It's which is
But
crazy
you have to have the first run if you're Syracuse.
Yes.
If you're trying to set the tone, especially as the team in the bigger conference, the bigger team, the one that's favored, especially, you were talking about betting odds, you do need to set the tone.
At the same time, too, a win is a win.
True.
But you can call this one a little bit it could be like these first couple games are pretty easy for them, or they should be easy wins. So when we're looking at the standings in March, we look at the overall standings. These are, I guess you can call fugazi wins, but guess what? No one's talking about it then.
Yeah, I mean, despite that, though, Syracuse dropped almost 30 spots in the KenPom rankings after the Lemoyne game.
As they deserve to be.
Exactly. So, you can say a win is a win, but you also kind of need to dominate against these teams.
Yeah, at the same time, it's still really early in the season. You would like to dominate against these teams, but I mean, in a couple weeks, that's the big test. I mean, Texas Tech, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Georgetown. These are big games that you need to pick up. That you need to prove that you can hang with the big boys who have been in the tournament the past few years when you haven't.
Right.
So as much as now it's all about trying to find yourself and build up. Especially November 21st against Texas. That's the first one. That's the first one really at the Barclays Center, neutral site. Syracuse did not do good last year in the Jim Maui Invitational.
No.
This year they get a new chance at the Legends Classic. That's a game that you're going to have to prove yourself a little bit. And I think right now it's kind of building towards that, but it's not looking good based on early indications. They have a big chance to prove everyone else wrong tomorrow night.
Not for nothing, too. I mean, playing at the Barclays Center, that's basically a home game for Syracuse. There's going to be a lot of orange in
I don't
there.
know, man. Texas fans travel well.
I'm sure they do.
Texas fans
but
travel well.
You're still playing in New York enough that I think that Syracuse fans can bring the noise, and you have to take advantage of that.
Texas fans travel. That's all I'll say. Being from Texas, they have one of the biggest fan bases in all of college sports.
Hook 'em.
Hook 'em horns.
Yeah, hook 'em.
I do not think that that's going to be, there will be a lot of orange. It'll be,
Burn orange.
burn orange too. But yes, you
won't
are,
be able to pick
you
them
are
apart.
right. You won't be able to. You'll hear the cheers, but still, that's not something that you can, hope for. You still have to come out, bring your own intensity, bring your own energy to the game. That's honestly the thing. Syracuse needs to come out from the start. The Lemoyne game didn't have, the best of crowds. Maybe tomorrow night we'll have a bigger crowd, but you got to find a way to create your own energy out of the gate, and that's something that they didn't do against Lemoyne.
Well said. Bring the energy, bring the fire, bring the fight, right?
Bring the boom.
I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get. It's the stupidest thing I've ever.
They're Yankees fans.
I've seen them make videos for every team. They are a curse. I saw the video.
They're
and
a curse?
I think they're a curse.
They're a curse.
They did make a Texas video, and then Texas lost to Georgia
Oh.
in football.
Okay, we'll be back after the break. I mean, we're going off the rails here. I mean,
When we come back, we bring the boom.
when we come back, I'll tell you. We're going to all tell you, hopefully, what the men's basketball season comes down to. We'll be back in a few.
You just had to, huh?
He said bring the 3 times.
Bring the
This is
energy. Bring the boom.
You want to do suffering moment of the week in the final block too?
Yeah. Mine is Ole Miss rushing the field twice. Unless you guys want to just have one this week.
I had a good one. I don't remember what it is.
Cowboys.
That's not what it was. Oh yeah, you know what? I could do that.
Jerry Jones, Mr. Sunshine.
Yeah, that's honestly a really good one.
You want to do that one? I can think of
another
another
one.
All right, I'll do
You
that
could
one.
take Mr. Sunshine away from me.
I've got sunshine.
I've got sunshine.
Maybe one of the stupidest things. I mean, the sun clearly is a problem.
Yeah.
Just put some curtains up. It's not a big deal.
But it's the aesthetic.
Should I build a new stadium? Jerry, it's not the aesthetic when you can't see anything.
You know, it's funny because I saw pictures. They put curtains up for concerts.
That's
yeah.
the thing, but Jerry doesn't want to for the games. He says it ruins the ambience of the stadium.
So this photo earlier.
I mean, I get what he's saying, but also you got to
I
know
hate
that.
him.
Did you see last season? It happened towards the end of the season.
It happens all the time.
In Washington for the Capitals. It was weird. There was a specific, the sun was setting in a game and only one section of the stadium, there's the stairs that go back to the concourse. There was one spot where the sun was shining
You saw this?
and it perfectly went right into the opposing goalie's eyes.
It's great.
And there was nothing they could do about it.
Interesting.
They had someone stand up there to block it. It was so strange.
Jerry's a fucking idiot. I can't stand him. We're never gonna win until he sells, gives up GM, or dies.
Look at this. Literally, it's ridiculous. The sun is just it can't see.
As someone who goes to a lot of games, it's bad.
Of course it is. It's been a thing for years.
That's crazy.
It was a noon game in an indoor arena.
It's very dangerous too.
I know. And then look, the one spot. It was right there.
They usually have curtains for that.
I know. It was just so strange.
My opinion, the dome doesn't get dark enough.
Dome's getting dark enough. I mean, yeah, there's no way of telling if it's a night game. That's kind of the point.
But I wish it got darker. Like for the team intros. Like I wish there was more of a vibe.
Yeah, it's hard. When you have a white roof, that's kind of tough.
It just the vibe, and also we don't need to talk about this now, but I think the sound in the dome travels horribly.
Yeah,
It's a lot better with the seats, but it's still bad.
It needs to be so much louder. Just loud. It needs to be loud.
Like it was at the point like with the metal seats, it was like you couldn't hear anything.
No, you couldn't hear.
Whereas now you can hear stuff, but it's just not like
It should still be louder. Just make it. It just needs to be loud. It's in the environment. You make
it's
it
the loud house. You got to make it loud.
Good point.
I'm curious how Billy Joel's acoustics will be.
I mean, dome acoustics are always brutal.
Remember, I saw on Twitter people were complaining about the Pink concert.
Yeah,
that was
but
bad.
Billy-
I was
But
there.
Bruce Springsteen wasn't bad last year.
It wasn't bad.
No.
This is how they set up the stage. You should have asked Pete about that.
Should have.
Or just more. They need more speakers.
Yeah.
I'm sure
They bring in more speakers for the
Oh
concerts.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen, I already know it's not going to compare to seeing him at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, of course.
The sound will not be the same.
This is my MSG.
The mecca of college basketball.
Apparently it is.
I just realized I forgot to take off my sweatshirt this entire time.
And no one's looking.
I swear I have a nicer polo under this. I just completely forgot.
Yeah, it is a holiday.
Yeah.
Tonight should be a good game. By the way, the NBA Cup might be the stupidest thing. Who cares about it?
I agree.
Everyone's freaking
They're
out about this cup
trying.
starting tomorrow. They're trying for
So
what?
useless.
They want. To be fair, it was pretty fun last year. But they want to make the regular season matter more.
By the way, I'll just trust this before we get back. Joel Embiid
Sucks. We can talk about it.
should punish him not by 3 games, making him play 3 games in a
Point
row.
one. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Newhouse Afternoon. Jacob K., Dan Papillo, Josh Radjanov with you. Unfortunately for me, I said I would share a basketball stat what it comes down to, and this is just, we're going to agree on this whole, I hope.
We will.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Doesn't tend
It
to
comes
happen.
down to the tournament.
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
make the tournament or not. And unfortunately for me, the stat from last year, which I'm going to say in a second, hasn't changed, which I guess just sucks for me, nobody else. Because the one who barks it, I can't
How are you
change
going to push your narratives now?
It's the same narrative. This year, they missed the tournament for 3 years in a row.
Correct.
That was the first time in 50 years they missed the tournament 3 years in a row. Which means, I'll put this into context. They got 50 years, okay, who cares? Every undergraduate of Syracuse University who spent 4 years at the school has seen them in the tournament, except the class of 2025, which includes yours truly.
We got to get Jacob a tournament appearance.
Yeah, I mean, you got to tell them
So
that.
there are 2 options. Number 1, I'm the curse. Or
Yep.
number 2, they just stink.
How about you go up to Red Autry and be like, hey, I'm Jacob K. I'm not going to see a tournament appearance in my
you have the
entire
whole-
time
you have
on
the whole-
campus.
You have your whole class. I'm not here to make it about me. I mean, anybody who's a senior right
You're
now
not?
hasn't seen. No, I'm not.
Yours surely.
Well, I mean, 3 of us. I mean.
No, you're right.
I mean, it's pretty pathetic. I mean, there's this program that's all about that's just so like basketball, and they share their basketball. But like, what even happens if they make? And I know everyone listening that's not a student, whatever. But this is what I see in my eyes, and I'm going to share this. And you guys probably have the same. I've not had these thoughts, but I've thought about it just for this purpose. Like, what happens when there's a tournament? Like, do classes get shut down? Is like a magic like?
It's a great question.
That's a good question.
What happens? Like, I might not ever be able to witness that.
Might have to come back for a 5th year, Jacob.
I think the odd part for you is you just came at all 3 of us really, but you specifically came at a transitional time for Syracuse. The last few years of Boeheim, the first 2 years of Autry. It is a transition. I mean, you go from a coach like Jim Boeheim, obviously the legend that he is, and then you go to Coach Autry, who is great. I think Coach Autry is the guy, but it's gonna take time.
No,
and the end of the Boeheim era wasn't What didn't have great endings. Obviously, you mentioned 3 years didn't make the tournament. One of those years was, or 2 of those years were Boeheim.
Yep.
Last year with Autry, but I think this year is the team to finally make the tournament. I do believe I'm gonna have some optimism. I guess I'm just the one on the show that always has the optimism. I don't know why. I think this roster is better built than last year, and I think if they can get a playing style where they're moving the ball a little bit more, it's not just individual offense, and then they're actually competing on defense, which they haven't shown yet they need to do, but where they're constantly competing on defense and limiting, good shots for opposing teams. I think that's something that Syracuse this year is capable of doing.
I'm glad you're positive, Josh, because
You're not?
For me, I think it really comes down to this team goes as far as Donnie Freeman goes. If he lives up to his hype and he is this next coming of Carmelo Anthony, like everybody so claims, then sure.
Speaking of that, quickly pause.
Yeah.
His son's going to commit this week, I think.
Yes, it's down to 2. It's Syracuse and USC.
We should know in a few days, right?
I think so.
Hopefully.
I think he's announcing it on Melo's podcast, I want to say.
I think I saw that too.
But yeah, I think it does come down to is they go as far as Donnie Freeman goes. If he lives up to the hype, then yeah. If he starts to falter, I mean, he only had, 10 points in the first game of the season, then this team might struggle on offense a bit.
It wasn't like offense was the issue. I'll give you 3 players. Jared Davis, Eddie Lampkin, and Chris Bell. Chris Bell needs to take a leap defensively. It just is. He needs to take a leap defensively, I think. And Chris Bell is one of my favorite players on the team. You know it, Dan. I talk about him all the time.
You do.
First off, for him personally, if he can develop his defense a little bit more, he becomes a first-round draft pick. And so that's number one. And it will drastically improve the defense of this team. He can guard each team's best player. And then for Eddie Lampkin and Jared Davis, keep on doing what you did last time, which was get rebounds and score points inside. But Eddie Lampkin needs to stay out of foul trouble, needs to be able to be dominant inside, needs to get rebounds. That's the biggest difference. That's why Syracuse was not good last year. They couldn't get a rebound. If those guys can get rebounds, then you're looking good. If this team can be a better rebounding team overall, then you're looking good. So far through one game, 46-32, you mentioned it, Syracuse leading the rebound total. So hopefully that part is there, but that is kind of the my thing for this year.
Just make the tournament. It's literally you get killed first round.
Do it for Jacob.
Do it for Jacob.
Get it trending.
Do it
He
for
wants
all,
to cancel class
and,
that
and
one
guess
day.
what? Do it for you guys too.
For us.
You might not see it again too. And then you never know. You have to pray. Keep hope. Just got to. I will. You know what? I'll say it right now. If they make the tournament, I'll host a parade in Syracuse.
All right.
All right.
Just a few more moments on the show. We're gonna do what we always end with, suffer moment of the week. Mine's gonna be Ole Miss versus Georgia, so kind of double suffer moment of the week. Georgia obviously losing to Ole Miss, 2-loss team now. They dropped out of the top 10, but also Ole Miss rushed the field twice. There was some time left on the clock. They rushed the field. 16 seconds were left on the clock. They had to play that down, get everyone off the field.
Can
and
go
then,
very quick.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear. We already talked about it. I mean, CeeDee Lamb dropping a wide open touchdown pass because the sun was
And
in
mine's
his
the
eyes.
Jets. We'll see you next week.
Good show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for.
I didn't know.